spent the day at the Winthrop Market. It's here in the Tampa Bay area. This is the second time I've tried to, I've gone to a farmer's market. The first time I tried about a month and a half ago. No, I'm sorry, closer to two or 3 months ago. Had some issues with equipment and the canopy. Only was able to interview one person. Was much better prepared now. Got all that knowledge from kind of what I learned from there and took it here. I did end up hiring somebody to help me, Jordan Trowbridge, delightful, intelligent, and engaging young man, helped me through the day. I had him on the podcast as well. But Winthrop Market's a wonderful farmer's market. I had a couple hundred vendors, and it's in this Winthrop Square, and it's a great event. The booth is fairly inexpensive, but the goal, the mission, was to talk to people that I just wouldn't be able to talk to typically, and have great conversations. And I did just that. It was a wonderful, wonderful day. It was a hot day in Western Florida. Got up to about 90, but there was a slight breeze, and all the equipment worked well. We got solar panels and a charging unit to charge all the equipment. First gentleman, Bobby Perdomo, was a fascinating man. He came back from addiction and is bouncing back and helping others. Jack Tanzerite, assistant, his PA, works on the back. Very interesting discussion about myths and how to better help the back. Michael Johnson. There's a dying language called the Gullah. It's in the Low Country. For those of you who are not familiar with the great area of Charleston and Kiowa, that whole area of South Carolina, it's called Low Country. And there's a language there that's spoken only by 250,000 people. And it's still trying to live and preserve and move on. And Michael Johnson was talking about that. It's fascinating how these languages live on. The Smithsonian Institute has acknowledged it. Joel Chudnow, fascinating. Joel is a teacher in his core. He's very much into wellness. Fascinating stories. He teaches at the community college here, and his road to wellness, what it took to get him there, and why he was just a teacher. What happened in that pivot to make him just that. Ray Bazares was in the Navy, became a minister, a pastor, and some of his challenges there during that transition. He wasn't the best when he was in the military, and what he had to do to get over that to continue his life. Great conversation. Charles Jacobs, my goodness. When he was in the military, his troops wanted some kind of path to success, to life. So he made this line in transition, this whole complete system, this paradigm that he's created. And he walks people through it, and it's absolutely wonderful. I can't wait for you to. Russell Graham, fragrances. I know very little about this subject. I let others do that for me, but he is a professional at fragrances. He did serve time in the military. He's out, talks about discovering them, what it takes to do with them, how to apply them, how to use them. He's got great stories about that. My last conversation was with Jordan Trowbridge. He's got great things to say about the Florida Everglades, and he's into animal rescue. He loves reptiles. We talk about the python issue in Florida in the Everglades, and fascinating young man who's engaging, very, very smart, and boy, the world is his oyster. Great day at the Winthrop Market. Thanks so much for listening and watching. Hi, I'm Joey Pinz, and here's my 45-second introduction. After starting my business in the 90s, I started developing poor habits of eating in my diet because of working way too much. I found myself at 340 pounds. The doctor told me if I don't lose the weight, I'm not going to see my daughter graduate. I took the next 7 months, lost 130 pounds. People ask me, how'd you do it? What's the secret? I need to lose weight. How'd you do it? How'd I lose the weight? Just one word: discipline. I've had other successes in life, and I attribute them all to discipline. Now, I'm not the king of discipline, but I believe that it can help all of us. Friends convinced me to start a podcast. The podcast mission: how do we better ourselves and society? I talk to interesting people in health, fitness, sport, wellness, business, technology, science, art, and culture. And I eventually ask them how discipline plays a role in their life. Podcast vision: growth through learning from others.
Why do you want to make the whole world happy, Joel? Thank, love y'all.
Because why? Why not? It's probably the greatest need for people to be happy at this time in the history of the world. 2025. Today is May 17th, Saturday. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood, and it's 2025. I'm a teacher, Joey. And my raison d'etre, my reason for living, my reason for being, my reason for getting up is to teach.
What do you teach, Joel?
I'm glad you asked. I teach natural hygiene, wellness training. I actually teach natural hygiene and train people to incorporate into their lives ways of wellness. You know, Joey, in this year, 2025, the data is in.
Sure
We
is.
do not wait. We do not have to wait for a magical discovery of an herb or a fruit from Brazil. We know what the body needs. We know how to be well. And if we do it every day, not just on the weekends or during the week, you usually benefit. Now, in teaching 36 years and studying for that period, I have students ranging in age from 18 to 88 years old. 23 years in a classroom at Hillsborough Community College where they chose to be there.
Wow.
I taught at all the campuses, but mostly in Tampa. And had an 88-year-old woman come to me, drove 40 miles to get to the class. I was pretty amazed to meet her, and I asked her after the class, I said, "You seem pretty well. You seem to have it all together. Why do you come to my class?" She says, "Because I want my children to get this.
Huh.
And grandchildren. I want to be able to share this with them."
So tell me about your journey to wellness, Joel. How did you get there?
Well, you know, Joey, I also, in addition to the classes, I hosted 923 radio shows.
Whoa. You do have a good radio voice.
Inviting local holistic health professionals, Pinellas, Hillsborough, a few from south, a few from north, an occasional long-distance interview, but most of my guests would come to me eyeball to eyeball in the studio like we are, and we do in an hour show they'd have 45 minutes for me to ask open-ended questions, and like you just asked, and showcase their skills. They're cutting edge, every bit as good as what you would find in the media of MDs or natural healers, but we're living and working, practicing right here in the Bay Area. So it was a privilege for me to invite them to have 45 minutes to showcase their skills, their knowledge, well-trained people mostly, and as a result, I've gained many, many, many good friends.
Wow. Were you always a teacher, Joel?
In answer to your question, Joey, your first question, in January of 1989, I woke up in the morning with systemic pain from my TMJ to my feet.
Whoa.
Psoriatic arthritis.
What age is this for you, if you don't mind me asking?
I was 42.
Wow.
And that was my cosmic 2x4,
Huh.
my wake-up call.
Come to Jesus.
Pay attention, Joel. You're screwing up, and your body ain't working no more.
Wow.
I foolishly, ignorantly, went to my rheumatologist and asked him to be a partner with me in my journey to get well. He said, "Joel, like last time you came in here, we got these 12 non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. You can try them all. I got them in the closet." Stay with the one that gives you the least side effects.
Whoa.
I said, Doc, I tried 3 of them 6 years ago and you drew 6 ounces of fluid off my knee.
Ugh.
And I read the PDR, the physician's desk reference on all of them, and I learned they're all toxic. Hurt my liver, can't drive a car. I'm in marketing, sales and marketing. I got to drive. I'm a professional driver to get to my clients. So we had a 3-minute consult with my rheumatologist, and he had 1 foot outside the treatment room door.
Whoa.
He was telling me physically, I got no more time for you, because I said, Doc, I need more than drugs, more than non-steroidal anti-inflammatories. I need a partner to help me find ways to at least suppress the symptoms of psoriatic arthritis. You tell me there's no cure for it. Maybe there is, maybe there isn't. I don't know. But I haven't investigated that. But I want to know if you can be my partner. Well, with his foot outside the door, he said he's finished with me.
Wow.
You know, there was a phone in the treatment room, Joey. And I picked up the phone and got on the intercom, the office intercom. I said, Doc, this is Joel in the treatment room. I got a few more questions. I was sick. I needed some answers. He never came in, you know. And, you know, they billed me for the visit.
Really?
And I called the office manager. I said, hey, listen. Why did you bill me? He didn't do anything for me. And I'm not coming back here, so if you will please just credit out this invoice, because I'm finished with you. You're disqualified. And then I began a journey of study and learning, and thankfully I found a woman teaching continuing ed courses in Tampa, and she had taught these courses for 5 years total. And I discovered her, and I just was in every class she had for at least a year and a half. And I started getting it. Kept showing up. You know, Joey, they say 90% of success is showing up.
Yeah.
Well, I kept showing up. And whether I physically was energized enough to get there didn't matter. My car got there. You know what I mean? I'd get there, put my head on the desk after hearing the same class 3 or 4 times. And then I hear something in the class, I say, oh, that's what she meant.
Struck.
See, we learn in stages. I learn in stages, and many of my students do too. So it was extraordinary for me to experience that and of course, ultimately share it. Well, the teacher moved away after teaching 5 years. She says, Joel, nobody knows this better than you. Why don't you teach it? Well, Joey, I had a fear of public speaking.
You?
Uh-huh.
This
Believe
is before your radio days?
Believe it or not.
I can't imagine that.
Believe it or not, yes. And because I was gathering this for myself and my 2 daughters. I have a granddaughter, 12-year-old granddaughter. I said, I'm not a teacher. I timidly said, I'm not a teacher. I was frightened at the thought of standing up in front of a large group. And I was... I realized that at that point it had helped me so much, and that her moving away, the information would be lost. And I said yes. And I timidly, nervously started. And quite honestly, within 3 months of that experience of teaching at Hillsborough Community College, I realize it's the most important thing I do.
Wow.
Still today.
You love it.
And that's why it's my raison d'etre. It's my reason for living. That's what you get me in front of a group of people on a podcast like yours, I turn on.
So without that incident happening, Joel, would you have discovered you wanted to be a teacher?
Not likely. I was chasing the dollar in marketing and advertising and building a business and having fun, selling promotional products, advertising. And no, Joey, that's a good question. No, but I would have continued popping Kisses and M&Ms and my family's ethnic standard American salt, sugar, and fat diet, saturated fat. And
Welcome, I'm Joey Pinz, and I'm thrilled to guide you through this course. Discipline for Greatness, Unlocking Your Best Self in 7 days. Whether you're here to take the first step toward a better you or looking to build on the momentum you already have, you're in the right place. This course is about real change, not fluff. Let's get started. This course is based on my book, Discipline for Greatness, 5 Steps to Success and Happiness. It's the product of decades of experience, and more importantly, conversations with hundreds of incredible people on the podcast. In the next 7 days, we'll focus on building purpose-driven habits, creating a balance in every part of your life, and activating the full power of discipline. You'll walk away with more clarity, more control, and real confidence. This course is based on my book, Discipline for Greatness, 5 Simple Steps to Success and Happiness. It's the product of decades of experience, and more importantly, conversations with hundreds of incredible people on my podcast. In the next 7 days, we'll focus on building purpose-driven habits, creating balance in every part of your life, and activating the full power of discipline. You'll walk away with more clarity, more control, and real confidence. Here's what to expect. The course runs for 7 days and 2 short episodes each day, 10 to 15 minutes max. It's fast, focused, and meant to drive real transformation. Each day builds on the last, so grow consistently. We've packed in reflection prompts, guest stories, and short quiz at the end of each day to help lock in the learning. Make sure you have your companion workbook ready. It's your space to journal, reflect, and take action. This just isn't information, it's transformation. You're going to be challenged. You're going to be supported. Most of all, you're going to be inspired. Discipline isn't about restriction. It's about unlocking potential. My job is to help you discover yours. Now you might be wondering, why did I create this course? Because I know what it's like to want more from life and not know where to start. How is this different from other content? Because this isn't about hustle. It's about harmony. What if I fall behind? No problem. It's designed for your flexibility. Do you need to read the book first? Nope. But if you do later, it'll reinforce everything here. And how do you get the most out of the course? Stay engaged, use the workbook, reflect, commit. And finally, what if you don't see results right away? Be patient. Transformation takes time, but every small step counts. You've got everything you need to start strong. So take a deep breath, shake off the noise, and let's get started. Your best self is just 7 days away.
it would have hit me sooner or later.
Yeah.
A month later, a year later, whatever. It would have hit me.
What are some...
I was a ticking time bomb. Because I had chronic disease, psoriasis from age 12. From age 33, roughly, arthritis was diagnosed. And I was a sick puppy.
So I hear people say, Joel, the 3 pillars to good health are nutrition, exercise, and sleep. Your thoughts?
That's part of the package. It certainly is. It's a quick solution for or a process.
Would you like to add or remove?
I absolutely. I'm ruminating here. We have to start off. First thing in the morning, Joey, meditation. I'm not talking about religion. Whatever your religion, that's okay. I'm just talking about waking up in the morning when your mind is just between the sleep and the wakeful period, which is theta wave brain waves. You want to sit quietly for minimally 5 minutes.
Wow.
And breathe. Pay attention to your breath. Breathe into your heart and exhale through your mouth. And be quiet. No thoughts. Before the day starts, before all the things you got to do, you know what that is? That's stinky stuff. This is the most important appointment of your day, Joey.
Meditation.
Sitting for 5 minutes every day, not just on a weekend, every day. If you have to wake up 5 minutes early, get up. Make it the most important appointment of your day. Now, you can welcome God into that if that's your preference. You can think of the two most important words that I use in my meditation and my daily activity, and that is love and gratitude. So if you wake up and say love and gratitude, God or whoever, love and gratitude, joy, that's a great way to start the day, Joey.
It certainly is.
So that's a beginning point. To add to those three you mentioned, then we want to exercise.
Yeah.
We want to stretch. Get on a yoga mat for 20 minutes and stretch every which way you can. Go for a walk in under trees and put your feet in soil for earthing and grounding. This is a good way to start the day. Then come in and hydrate. Good water, lemon water, non-stimulating herbal teas that nurture and nourish, but don't stimulate with caffeine and other uppers and inners and outers. So hydrate. Actually, before hydrate is, I have to say, is oxygenate. You've done that in the meditation. Deep breathing, belly breathe. Breathe so that you breathe in your nose audibly and your stomach rises. You exhale through your mouth and the stomach goes flat, like a baby breathes. And you do that 10 times and at least 3 times a day. So oxygenate, hydrate, alkalize.
Yeah.
What do I mean by that? Living, fresh, picked if you can, organic fruit and vegetables are alkaline. People are diseased, they fall below the line. You know, if your immune system is functioning above the line, you're going to feel pretty good.
Wow.
And your liver's working pretty good. Thank you. I love my liver. But if it falls below the line, you're open to any damn disease that comes down the pike. So don't be surprised if you mistreat yourself with your knife and your fork, that you are going to experience some disease or discomfort, you're going to require a doctor's visit, maybe an emergency room, maybe an ambulance pickup, and a serious issue. See, this is what I teach and train people to do.
Joel, has
36 years, I'm starting to get good.
who knows? One day you might be great at it.
I'm working.
I'm sure
still
you are.
working. I'm 78 years old.
Wow.
Hey, Joey, I like to kick, stretch, shimmy, and kick. I'm 78 years old.
Has there been anything in the last month or so, Joel, you changed your mind on?
Wow, that's a probing open question, isn't it? Actually, yes. Yes. My teaching is solid. It's rooted like a 400-year-old oak tree. But on October 9th, Hurricane Milton, Uncle Milty, after living in my top floor apartment, Hurricane Milton blew the roof off my apartment. The roof came off and 12 inches of rain came in, soaking my asbestos drywall ceiling and my drywall as well. Being in the apartment at the time, I watched half of the bedroom ceiling come down on everything I own, then the second half of the bedroom come down, and then the living room.
Wow.
And the rest of the ceiling was buckling, and I was still okay. But Joey, from that point on, I realized, I didn't realize it then, but I experienced a very high level of uncertainty in my life. And fear and anxiety and a very high stress level. Living in a hotel for 68 days.
Wow.
And finally finding an apartment on South 50th Street, miles south of Adamo. Took me a long time to realize, until I unloaded my apartment. When I finally moved in, unloaded, the very next day, I was useless for the next 24 hours. Because all that stress, I was functional up to that point, about 75 days. But then when it was all unpacked, the boxes were cut up and ready to get picked up. That next morning, I remember like it was yesterday, because I hate to talk about it because I relive it. But the thing is, the stress had built up in me so much that it all came out on that day.
Wow.
And I realized I have PTSD, which is a electrical circuit imbalance in the body. You know, I have a great deal of empathy for our veterans.
Yes.
Who experience war.
Yes.
And fear of death every single day. And bombs and bullets and whatever. So I understand what I'm experiencing it. And Dr. Kai, acupuncture physician, the Winthrop Healthcare Center, the next row, is my teacher and my acupuncture physician.
So where did you change your mind
And
on?
the change of mind was, instead of trying to figure it out all by myself, I said, I need help.
I see. Yeah.
And that's when I bumped into Kai at last month's Market here. He gave me a free consult, and I signed up that afternoon with him.
Wow.
He had an open house that day. I signed up with him. I've had 6 treatments. I'm scheduled for 3 more next week. I've had a consult with his partner, Molly, also a doctor of Oriental medicine, an acupuncture physician, who is a nutritional counselor as well. And so it's been a journey, and I'm learning.
You're on the road to health.
And it's, I feel that as though I'm making progress. The jury's still out, though, Joey. I'm not there yet, but I'm hoping to find the solution of the epigenetics of my experience. In other words, on the surface of the genes are like the hard drive. The epigenetics are like the environment. It's changeable.
Sure.
Depends on what you're exposed to. So I'm exposing myself to more health-promoting things that I know and have practiced for years and taught. And so I'm applying those. And I will be well, and I'll get back to teaching, and maybe you do a podcast just like you.
Yeah, fantastic. So, Joel, I started my business in the 90s. I was working way too hard, 14, 16-hour days. You're no stranger to this, I'm sure. And next thing I know, I'm in front of the doctor. She tells me that I'm at 340 pounds. And if I don't lose that weight, I'm not going to see my daughter graduate. So it scared the life out of me. It's not me anymore that I can abuse. I've got a family now, Joel.
What age were you?
I was 27, 28.
Okay.
Driving home, upset with myself. This is my pie hole. I did this to myself. Spent the next 6, 7 months, lost 120 pounds. And you can't look at it as a finish line, right? These are lifelong changes.
Yes.
And so when I tell people this story, they applaud, but they also say, what's your secret? And I say, there's no secret. Discipline. That's how I kept it off. I got motivation. I got focus, willpower. How does discipline play a role in your life, Joel Chudnow?
I got one for you. People tell me I want to lose 30 pounds, 10 pounds, 50 pounds, whatever. I say, don't lose a thing. When you play sports, you don't play to lose, do you? When you want to get well, don't lose anything. What you want to do is gain abundant health. You want to rebuild to be well, and you can start today, and you can. And as you do this day in and day out, in a lifestyle, as you mentioned, your body's weight will naturally adjust.
Yeah. Getting back to discipline, though, how does discipline play a role in your life?
Daily.
How
You've
so?
got to have a regimen, your own personal regimen, whatever works for you, and it has to start with that peaceful 5 minutes in the morning. Discipline starts with your mind.
Wow.
You've got to want it. You've got to write a diary every day, every morning, of your thoughts. But being overweight, you mentioned your pie hole. You're just eating everything in sight and not worrying about a thing. You're here today because you got a liver that works well.
Part of the
very
puzzle.
well.
Yes.
Very well. But it wasn't working at that high weight.
Right.
And so for you to reverse your disease, you first had to decide to do it.
Yeah.
You had to think it. Before a journey of 1,000 miles, you've got to take the first step.
Yeah, absolutely. Joel,
you-
I appreciate, I've got to cut this short. We got people in line. I really appreciate your time today. You're very good at this. Thank you so much. Thank you for listening and or viewing Joey Pinz Discipline Conversations. Please share this episode with 1 or 2 of your friends who you think may benefit from the episode. Our website, www.joeypinz.com. There you'll find lots of resources and you could join our mailing list. Please follow us on all our social media, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Podcast information, the
Video version of our podcast is on YouTube. Please subscribe. Audio is on all major podcasting platforms. Please follow them. And if you like it, please consider giving 5-star rating. Would really appreciate that. Thank you again for listening or watching Joey Pinz Discipline Conversations.